Hi, everyone. My name is Heather Havenwood, and welcome to another version of Like a Boss Insights with influencers, entrepreneurs, and badasses like you. Woo! So I'm super excited to be in your living room or in your iPhone or in your ears today. I'm super excited about that. But before we get started, I want to share with you a little thing that's going on. If you're on my social media whatsoever, if you are following me on all the 1,000 places that I am, especially LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, you will notice there's this huge, massive, large cut in my leg. And I got skin cancer. That's a bad word, right? Melanoma in my leg. And so because of that, it's had to be cut out. So I have this huge hole that's now been stitched up. And I'm doing this interview with underneath me is a big ice and all over my shins and my right calf. So I have a new appreciation for being able to work from home as an entrepreneur. And it is so important as an entrepreneur to realize that when you create your own life, when you create yourself as an entrepreneur, you really have the freedom to do what you need to do. So I'm super excited about that. But more importantly, I have a female founder today. Very rare, as y'all know. I really try to focus on female founders, but every now and then I just can't find one. And more importantly, in the financial industry. So this person actually is not only a female founder, a co-founder and a female, but also in the banking industry specifically. And that is even rare. So we have a diamond in the rare. Diamond rare today is, I guess, what they call it, a blue diamond rare. So I'm super excited about that. But before I introduce you to her, I just want to share a personal story with you about when I was just at MJ BizCon in Vegas. It was 60,000 cannabis, marijuana owners. And I actually had to literally go up and down the aisles and ask people, is your business owned or co-owned by a woman? And most of the guys had this look on their face like, oh, I don't know. And my favorite response was, we have a woman working for us. And I was like, no way, that's crazy. So that was kind of funny. I had to laugh about that. So that's why I'm so excited to introduce you to the person I'm interviewing today. Her name was Cameron Peck. What? I didn't say that right. Cameron Peake. Is that right, Cameron?
Yep. Peake.
Okay. All right, cool. Sorry about that. I am on a little drugs from the surgery. Am I allowed to just disclaimer there? Total disclaimer. All right. So Cameron Peake is the co-founder and CEO of Azlo. Cameron Peake spent years launching digital financial products and around the world before founding Azlo, a fee-free banking platform for entrepreneurs, which I'm super excited about because I've had some challenges lately in opening accounts and business accounts. It is designed for the new generation of digital entrepreneurs, which is me and you, from instant invoicing to effortless payments and transfers. Azlo accounts are integrated with tools that make running a business easier. Well, I have to say, Cameron, thank God you're here.
Happy to be here on many levels. So
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you're a woman, but I want to start with your personal story. And with that, when did you start this particular company? When was it founded? When did it get launched?
yeah, we launched publicly about 2 years ago, and have been working behind the scenes on it for three and a half years. So
Okay.
As you already brought up, building banking services isn't easy. So we've been tinkering away for a while on it.
Would you consider yourself a tech girl or a banking girl?
Very much a tech girl.
Got it.
So, I mean, I think you think about traditional banks and everything that means, right? Whether it's long processes, difficulty accessing them, fees, working on their hours, and like that, that's not tech, right? Tech is about disruption, making things easier and simple, and thinking about different sort of business models, and we're all tech. I'm all tech.
I really love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'll share a quick story. I won't say the names of the bank, right? But I went into a traditional bank last year. Last year, I really focused on kind of diversifying as well as business accounts and really looking at my business accounts. And I walked in, and my particular entity has been in the state of Texas for 10 years. So it's not like I just started it, right? So I'm very familiar with the process. And I walked in, I had all my papers, and I walk into a person who's probably making $20 an hour, whatever, behind the scenes. And he's telling me that I'm not legal and stuff. And I'm like, actually, no. And I'm having to teach him all the documentation, right? I'm having to teach him. And they still denied me. And I was like, I literally laughed. Now I got another company, but it's why I'm going to be signing up for your company today, because even that one was wonky.
Awesome.
But I I found it fascinating that as a business owner, one, it's almost like they don't want me to give them money. They don't want the account. They say they do. They have business bankers on their little card. But when I actually start talking about business things, they don't know what I'm talking about. They have no idea my favorite is I go, well, I'm an online company. Well, what does that mean? Well, I do marketing, affiliate marketing. I have e-com. Well, I don't understand that because it's not what they call traditional. I don't have a franchise, right? So they look at me like, well, you're not a real company. I'm like, then you don't know. We're in 2020, dude, or whatever, right? So I'm hearing from you, and I'm putting words in your mouth. Are you saying that you guys are really designed for companies like myself and freelancers and things like that? I don't know.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So we are designed for anyone that operates in the new digital economy, which is everyone, if you think about it. Companies that market on digital platforms, build their companies on digital platforms or sell, that's who we're made for. And we are digital first, right? We have no branches. We have a great customer success team that you can call up at whenever you have a problem. But we have 0 branches because you operate on your phone, right? You shouldn't have to do anything. We also, have no fees and no minimum balances because so many of these companies are pre-revenue. You're just starting. You shouldn't have to pay to have a business account. We all know it's really important to separate your business finances from your personal when you're starting a company, but you shouldn't have to pay to do it until you're at a point where you can actually afford to. So as we look at it,
so that's a good one. I just love the fact that I have my personal account and they get free checking or, 10, something really low. And then all of a sudden it's a business account and now I'm paying 20 or 15 and there's all these minimums and stuff. And I'm like, you do realize that when you're a freelancer or you own your own company and you have no employees, you have all freelancers or things like that, you really don't try to have many things going through, right? And they're like, what do you mean you don't have a 1040? And it's just like, it's almost like you have to educate the bank on today's world. You know what I mean? I've been doing that for years when they're like, why don't you have a 1040 or what, what's a 1099? I have to explain to the person who's handling my account this, right? So let me ask you a question. I feel like all tech people like yourself are trying to solve a problem they either ran up against or they did a huge amount of research on. Which one used yours and what happened?
A little bit of both. So, I actually have spent most of my career using digital channels as a way to bring financial services to groups of people who didn't have great options in the past. And so I worked in Haiti after the earthquake, actually launched a mobile money program there. And so where people were keeping cash under their mattresses or buying goats instead of putting their money in a bank account because banks didn't want to serve them. We actually launched a product to help them, right? Did that in Indonesia. So Indonesia is a network of islands. And if I wanted to send money to my daughter who was in college, I actually had to drive for hours, wait in lines at a bank to be able to get money to her. And we actually enabled you to send that through your phone. And so what I've been doing for my entire career basically has been using those digital platforms to introduce services to people that haven't gotten it in the past. And so for us launching Azlo, the small business banking landscape in the US, most banks just look at, bigger commercial, bigger businesses. And typically they dumb down that service a little bit for small businesses.
Yeah.
And we said, we can do this so much better. And so we launched a product from the ground up that was built specifically for small businesses and specifically for digital businesses and the needs that they have, because we viewed it as a massive problem. So for me, it was both kind of a culmination of everything that I've done, right?
Yeah.
And also a massive, massive problem here in the US.
It is a massive problem. So is your first market the U.S. specifically? Are you going outside the U.S. right now? You're just U.S. based only,
For
right?
US, I mean, the U.S. market is huge, and there's a lot.
It's totally huge. I was just curious because there is a whole nother side of the world, and I had a guy that I interviewed once. Great story because it's really actually interesting. So he messages me. It was a friend of a friend's introduction, something like that. He lives in Switzerland of all places, and he owns this huge Amazon business. And I said, I'd love to interview you. So we set up a date, right? And it was going to be like this. He flew here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, and then he's like, okay, I'll be there, Monday. I'm like, what do you mean you'll be here? And he's like, oh, I'm like flying from Switzerland on his own dime.
Yeah.
But he just likes he was a millennial. So he's like, I just travel. So I figured I'd just show up. And I was just like, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
But we had an entire conversation about, because he does Amazon all over the country in different countries, there's different, markets, right? He had a really challenging time in conversion and money and moving money around. He said it took him 2 years to get a bank here, right? Because he didn't have a citizenship. And I don't know all that, but just that alone, because he couldn't get Amazon to send the money to Switzerland, he had to, So there's all these challenges, right? And I was like, wow, that's nuts, Here he is doing business and marketing services and he can't get the money, right?
I know, it's insane.
Yeah. So is that something you guys are trying to solve in general, or is it just really focused right now on what you call digital marketers or digital entrepreneurs currently,
so
right?
We actually have a small program through a partner where if you are a business owner based in Switzerland or based in India or Kenya, you can actually open a U.S. business and through that partnership get a bank account through Azlo as well. So we
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah,
I mean, anyone here in the United States, we are spoiled, right? We're really spoiled, but being in other countries, just to be able to get, money moved over, it's a big deal. So let me ask you this, because a lot of small businesses like myself and digital marketers I've been a digital marketer for 20 years. Most of them are using PayPal. Right? I mean, I don't know what your stats are, but that's my experience of my friends and colleagues. Okay. Yep. So I don't know if you want to show us any research about that, but would you say you guys have the same demographic? Are you going after that same market, or would you say it's completely different?
As I look at, well, let me actually give you one stat. So as we've looked at where most of our money comes from, PayPal's number 2. So definitely seeing a lot of people on PayPal, and actually Stripe is number 1. And so Stripe, anyone that processes kind of e-com or online payments, that's the number 1, source of funds for us. But as we look at, the sort of people on Azlo or on our platform, about half of them are freelancers, freelancers, consultants, just kind of folks engaged in general professional services work. And then we have about a third doing e-com work, right? Whether you're selling on Shopify or Etsy or doing kind of drop shipping stuff, that sort of profile. And then we have a whole long tail of different users. So smaller tech companies, those that are kind of bootstrapped, smaller healthcare companies, et cetera. So a really long tail, and definitely PayPal is a huge, huge source of where those payments are processed.
Okay. So where the payments are processed, but a lot of the friends and family I know inside the entrepreneurial world, they send invoices back and forth via PayPal.
Yep.
So tell me about that particular side of the business for you guys.
Yeah, so we offer a basic invoicing tool, and again, as we look at entrepreneurs on our platform, a lot of them are earlier stage, and so if they're sending out invoices, they're often managed through email, or they're using they're using Excel to kind of track them. And so we offered a really basic tool to help them. And then what we've seen is, some people have processes in place where they're using PayPal, they're using QuickBooks Online, they're using other services. And so we both support you if you manage your invoices through there. So we'll connect. We have integrations with PayPal, with Square, with Stripe in our experience. And so you can pull that money into your business bank account after the invoice has been processed, or if you need an invoice on your own, just because you want to have better management than just kind of using a list, we have that as well.
Okay, great. So let's talk about some integrations, right? So integrations with PayPal or QuickBooks. Do you guys do integrations?
We do with both of us. Yep.
Okay, nice. Okay, great. So the other integration I want to ask you about is Acorn. Are you familiar with Acorn?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that app?
With them, but I know them. What do I think about it?
Yeah.
I think it's great. Like there's one theme that we're really passionate about and focusing on is well, our overall mission is helping entrepreneurs and businesses survive and thrive, right? And we at Azlo believe in so much more than just being a bank account, right? Like we want to be a true partner for you and your business. And a big thing for us is, how can we help you as an entrepreneur save you time so you can focus doing what you love? And whether that's, focus on you running your business directly, or that's freeing up your time so you could spend that with your family. That's a big, big focus for us. And I think that's what Acorns does, as well. It's how do I start to automate things so you don't have to think about it directly. We can do that work so that you can do what you love and what you want to do. And so I think their model's great.
I think their model's great. You're welcome to check out Acorn if you don't know what that is. It's not a commercial for that, but my point of that particular company and yours is a tech business. It was created out of, this mindset of how can we actually start doing things a little bit more differently in the world of banking? Because honestly, it's so old school.
Yep.
It is so ridiculously old school. Like I'm still having done some of my stuff. I have to go and they said, you need to fill out a form. I'm like, this is 2020 people.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Why am I filling out a form? My phone recognizes my face. Why am I not, you not recognizing my face? Why do I have to have a pen? Anyway, but I'm super techie, right? I'm a tech girl. I'm like you. I'm like anything that's about techie. I'm like, I'm there, right? Like, the newest app, I'm beta X. So when I actually ran across when I got what I call pitched by your PR person about this, I was like, oh my God, I so want to interview her because I so want to know what's going on in the latest and greatest of tech. And so I love that. Now let's talk about your story. So you said 3 years ago, you started focusing on this particular company, but what were you doing before that? And what's your personal story?
Yeah. So I, as I mentioned, spent most of my early career launching different digital financial products around the world. And so that's everything from launching a mobile money product in Haiti, another in Zimbabwe, a microfinance wholesale bank in Indonesia.
Ooh, that sounds cool. What was that?
Yeah. So, in Indonesia, there's a ton of microfinance institutions, and I imagine most of your listeners know what that is, but it's just micro loans and banking for small entrepreneurs. And as you think about banks around the world, most of them just serve the top, 1, 2, 4, 5% of a country, right? And that means that 95% of people don't have banking services. And if you need a loan to help grow your business, oftentimes microfinance institutions are where you go. What we saw in Indonesia was that a lot of these microfinance institutions had some money, right, because of their user base. But if they wanted to expand their pool of capital, there was nowhere they could go to get that money, right? And what we also saw was that they were really local. And so I might be able to, store your money or offer you a loan in like a small footprint. But if I wanted to connect you into the banking infrastructure, I couldn't do it. And that's right. The ATM network. That's like a remittances network. So the ability to send money, across the islands. Individual microfinance institutions couldn't do that. And so we actually helped to launch a wholesale institution for all of those microfinance entities in Indonesia. So I had a pretty crazy run, early in my career. But what I realized is that people need a safe and immediate place to store their money, right? Not under their mattress, the ability to connect into, financial systems in a way that saves them time and fundamentally saves them money. And digital was the way to do it. And so, everyone had a phone in their pocket at that time. And we really took advantage of that network to launch some pretty cool products. And so, I spent almost 10 years kind of doing that, and then realized that there was a lot I could do back here in the US.
Yes.
And so
us old Americans and stuff want focus. No, I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time.
Exactly. You do, but you kind of think like, the US, everyone has a bank account. There's no problems we can solve. And you scratch under the surface and there's a lot.
There's a lot, girl. Let me share with you. And I don't know if you know this story, so stop me if you do, but have you read the books, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is you're welcome to use the story in the future, but let me share the story with everyone, and you're welcome to use this in the future. So there's a book called Soul of Money by Lynn Twist. It's been 10 years. So Lynn Twist, what she did for a living, she lived out of San Francisco, actually, or the Northern California area, actually. And what she did for a living is her job was to go to, she calls it rich people, and ask them for money for the hunger project. That was her job, okay, to basically wine and dine people and to get money. And she was kind of a granola girl herself. She was a more granola girl in Northern California, and she was just talking about all her situations around money. However, one of the things of the Hunger Project back in the late 90s, early 2000s, the question they asked was, what's the number one underutilized resource on the planet? that if it was altered, it would end hunger. It's kind of an interesting question. And the automatic I had in my head is like food, right? Or oil or some, I don't know. But so I'll ask the question again and you can think about it and I'll give you the answer, which is going to go right to your story, which is what's the number one underutilized resource on the earth, on the planet? Resources like water, oil, right? That if it was altered, it would end world hunger. And the answer is women. And they're the ones that started microloans.
Exactly.
Right. So they saw that in small countries, Indonesia's one, right, where the women who the old structure was the man would go off wherever for months and work and supposed to be coming back and giving them money. But that didn't always work out so that way. So they said, well, we'll, $100, $200 or whatnot to these women to create, sewing something or making something and create this thing called commerce. They taught them commerce because that's the most underutilized, resource on the planet, which is women. So I just love that story because it goes back to who you are and what you're creating, which is what's the number one underutilized resource. I think in America, it's freaking small businesses. And I think it's women's small businesses to be exact, but that's my own judgment assessment. Okay. That I have no data on that research, but that's why I think what you do and with that story is so aligned. You really are on the cutting edge of what Lynn Twist and the Hunger Project started almost 2 decades ago.
Yeah. Well, and I think the cool thing about that is, it was kind of a big thing 2 decades ago, right? You think about women and microloans, but it didn't stop, right? It evolved. And now we're in an age where, again, it's not about, it still is, right? About kind of a group of women coming together and maybe sitting in a neighborhood coffee shop and managing their pool of loans, but it's bigger than that now. And we're using, digital phones and digital tools, whether it's in, Kenya or Haiti to transfer money to your daughter or your cousin or your vendor across borders, or using it here. You're a small business owner. You got a bunch of stuff you got to do, and you don't want to go down to a branch to do it. Do it from your phone. I mean, it's a whole thread that we've been pulling for the last 20 years.
Wow, that's interesting. Well, you're welcome to use that story, but I just love the fact that started 20 years ago, and here you are just using that to the next level. Because you're right, we're used to here in America. I have 3 computers. Okay, that's first world problems. Okay, most people have one phone. I actually have 2 iPhones, right? But again, first world problems. But there's such a big difference in the banking system worldwide. So I think it's really cool that you're doing that. So what's the future like? I mean, you're 2 years in, girl. You're 2 years in. Like, just want to make sure is your parents proud because you've done nothing with your life. Nothing. You've done absolutely nothing. I'm just curious. I'm just kidding. What?
It's like sharing stories on Facebook about me, like everyone else, right?
Oh, that's cool. Where'd you go to college? Where'd you go to university, or did you?
I actually went to college in Canada, funnily enough. Yeah, I went to college in Montreal. And there was another kind of interesting thread. I went there entrepreneurial seed early on. I had a friend that went there. They said it was a great school. I wanted to go to school in a big city, and I actually went without ever having visited. And realized that it was so cold there that I got hives and was allergic to the cold. But other than that, it was awesome. And I actually studied international development studies there. So it was all about focusing on international markets and, things like microfinance or other sort of systems or tools that we could use to benefit the world more broadly.
Yeah.
And so that was really the seeds of, where my career took me through the work I was doing with financial services overseas, all the way to where I am today.
Nice. Wow, that's pretty impressive that you just showed at Montreal. I couldn't have done that. It's a little too cold for me.
I don't think I knew what I was getting into. So.
That's so cool. Okay, so you went there, and you're now San Francisco, the tech capital of the world.
Yeah.
Right. And you're from Portland, right? So you're West Coast baby. You're a techie.
West Coast, yep.
That's cool. We won't hold it against you. Just kidding. So what's the future like? You're only 24 months in. What's the future of this company? Where do you see it going? Are there products that you guys are wanting to evolve into? Any kind of other kinds of products for entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the really cool thing for us is we launched publicly about 2 years ago, have been at it a little bit longer. And what that period was about was building up kind of what you'd expect in a basic banking account, right? The things that you need to run your business banking account. So that's, an all digital onboarding flow, your business banking account without fees or minimum balances, invoicing, intercompany transfers, integrations, mobile check deposit, those basic things that what we heard from business owners they need to have in place. And now we're at a point where we can start focusing on how we can benefit the community more broadly, in different sort of ways, right?
Yeah.
How do we introduce features that help you as a business owner save you time, right? How do we take more off of your plate so that you can focus on running your company? And so there's some pretty cool things that we have coming. Again, I'm not quite in a position where I can talk about them, but the biggest thing for me is just how we speed up like intelligence and automation so that you don't have to think about some more ancillary things on top of banking and just focus running your business. So I'm really excited about that.
And I guess I want to point out is I remember I think there's and I said this, I think, to you in the green room about something. And you said, well, it depends, we got to see a track record or time frame. I think one of the beauties, and people don't understand this in banking specifically, and this is old school too, but I think as AI gets better and as technology even gets deeper, we're already pretty deep, but it's going to get better and better, that entrepreneurs in a particular banking system or a particular app will be rewarded for behavior patterning.
Oh yeah.
And I think you probably know that, you're welcome to talk about it, but I'm noticing that PayPal's done a good job of that. That's new. That's a new thing. They literally reward you for doing business inside their platform, which then creates the behavior pattern of, oh, I'll do more because they're rewarding me to do that on a whole nother level, not like points, like literally loans and things. Right? So in other companies, I'm not to PayPal, I just know that I've experienced it in that platform. Yeah. Are you guys looking at doing certain things like that are rewarding small businesses and doing things inside your platform with the AI, or can you talk us about that?
We don't have any plans to do that right now. What I feel really passionate about, I fundamentally think that banking services are becoming a commodity, right? Like holding your money, moving your money, like it's more and more brands are getting into banking. And I just think it's going to become a commodity. And what we need to make sure we're doing is investing in features that really, really help who are working with, right? If you think about business banking, it matters, right? I need to store my business funds in a separate place, and that helps with, managing my business. That helps with tax filing. It's an important concept. But like, how much value does that really bring you as an entrepreneur? Not too much, right? You kind of set it and forget it. And so I think rewards is interesting, right? Because it like influences your behavior, but I think it's much more profound to invest in things that actually help you, right? And so that's the big thing as we look forward. Like, how can we help you, again, by automating certain things that take, work off of your plate? How can we help you by providing you with better data so you don't have to go and kind of crunch numbers on your own? Like, how can we help you do that? And that's what I'm really
QuickBooks automatically and pay my taxes automatically.
Right. But those are the sort of things that actually help you.
Yeah, they do. I'm surprised that maybe it's already there and I don't know about it. So but I'm really surprised it's not already there. Why it's not like a forecast, not having to talk to a CPA, like actually go, well, based on your behavior of your inside the business, your taxes for this quarter are going to be X, and not having to talk to CPA, and then it automatically pulls out to IRS or another account or whatever. And then it's just like, it's happening versus this big, long process that taxes are due, right? Like it's ongoing.
Those are the sort of things that
I don't see why AI can't do that now. It could just pull the data, the API from the IRS, and boom. I don't see why in the world we're living with all the rules and regulations and API data being able to throw. This is my perfect world, by the way, I'm complaining, is that, I say I'm in Texas, I'm an LLC, I'm, whatever my membership is, right? And then like the API goes out to get the tax code for that and puts it in and goes, based on that, you need to give X amount of dollars this quarter. And I go, okay, do that, And then at the end of the year, I can hire the CPA and go, did I give too much? I get some money back,
You said you're technical at heart. You clearly are technical. Yeah, exactly. These are the questions we should be asking, right?
Right. I don't want to rely on a human to have to read the tax code. Like, if the tax code's the tax code, like, why can't it be API'd out?
Right,
That's
totally.
me and my like, why is that we not AI and IRS codes? I don't think it'll happen.
These are the demands that we should be making and the questions we should be asking. And like, again, when's the last time your bank really offered you like true value? I don't know. And so like that's where I'm really driving the company and making sure the team is aligned. I think it's super important.
Are you a millennial?
Define millennial.
I don't know. I think it's you were born after 80.
I was born after 80. I'm a millennial in some ways and totally not in others. I like my phone.
You're like a sandwich. I call this, we're the X's. So I'm sandwich. Yeah. So we're not boomers and we're not millennials. We're like the sandwich one. We're the, yeah. So we just deal with both sides of the fence on either side.
Totally. Right? Totally. It's partially the mindset, you know? So
yeah, it's a mindset. I was just curious. You don't seem like a millennial, nothing wrong with them, but I'm just saying like, are you one of me or what? That's all. Cool. So anything else we might need to know? And let me just ask simple questions on this. In my experience, I have opened up, I don't know, 10 different bank accounts, 10 different business bank accounts, different banks throughout my 10 years of business. Actually 15 years of business, this company. And sometimes it's so easy. And sometimes I'm like, seriously, I like slip my wrist. Yeah. So what's your experience? What would be their experiences that when you can open an account? Can you open an account right on the app? Do you have to make a phone? Like, how does that look?
So you can open right on the app. Just takes a couple minutes to go through the form. And then typically you get an answer within either seconds or maximum 2 days, depending on kind of the complexity of your business. But it's entirely digital, streamlined, just takes you a few minutes and then you're up and running and good to go. And you can manage everything from your app. Again, no minimum balances, no monthly fees. We're built for you as digital entrepreneurs.
What about paperwork? They call it the paperwork and confirming the LLC or what the S Corp or C Corp with the state. How does that work? Is that all API'd?
Some of it's API'd. We usually say on the site like what you need to bring and prepare for. But what I'll say is it's not like a whole slew of things. Usually what we need is we just need to confirm that you're a real business. And so again, in some cases we can do that just by knowing who you are. And in some cases we need, your articles of incorporation or something you filed. So we're really working towards, and for any of your listeners who are users or become users, is how we can continue to improve the process. Again, we've been around for publicly for about 2 years, and we're constantly improving. We're a business and evolving and growing ourselves. And so where there's feedback and it's really about improving that onboarding flow, let us know. And we want to continue to invest in making it a great product for our community.
Nice. Wonderful. Well, great. Thank you so much for being here, Cameron. I really appreciate it. And where can they find you, or where can they find your company?
Yeah. So we're at Azlo.com, AZLO.com. And then you can find me either directly through Azlo and our customer support team, or on LinkedIn. I'm Cameron Peake, Peake.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And I love the fact that you're a female founder. And I love the fact that you're focusing really on really changing the landscape for entrepreneurs worldwide. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, everyone, this is Heather Havenwood. Check me out at heatherhavenwood.com, as well as Like a Boss, Spotify, Roku, iHeart, Pandora, and anywhere else that you listen to podcasts. Thanks. Bye.